Hey, my friends. So let's jump right in. So today's entrepreneur, creative, coach, spiritual change maker, service provider, whoever you are, right? And let I say, women, high achieving women, we're wearing far too many superwoman capes than ever before. So perhaps this is you. You feel like your energy is spread way too thin. You lack the clarity and focus to really make your deepest desires of impact and even love, right, come true. And this means instead of accessing the freedom and independence that you started with your passion project or your business, most creatives and entrepreneurs and change makers are chained and they feel like their energy is dragging. And oftentimes it's unconscious trauma. And you feel more enslaved than you do liberated. And this is why it is really important to be in agreement with the truth, with your truth. And there are actually different levels of truth that we're going to go through in this video. And I'm going to, or audio, I'm going to basically explain the 7 levels of truth in life and how they really align with your specific zone of genius, your supernatural, right? Your superpower, your intuition, and the game you play. And this is brought through the understanding and the lens of the wealth dynamics test, where you have your own energetic archetype. Now, whether you've taken the test or not, you'll start to understand where you're at in the game and the different levels of the game that you can play. And this is critically important. And it's a great place to start. Now, fundamentally, there are 7 levels of truth, which are number 1, there's different games. The second is you create your game. The third is your game needs to flow. The fourth is flow attracts resources. The fifth is flow accelerates critical moments. The sixth is flow creates synchronicity. And the 7th is flow leads to fortune. So let's go ahead and jump in, my friends. Now, we are all going through a massive change in truth about the way we live our lives, about our ability to actually survive outside the corporate environment, toxic structures starting to collapse, thank goodness, and to really actualize as a conscious creator and entrepreneur. So I want to go through these 7 levels. And as you're engaging with the wealth dynamics test and your archetype, or even if you haven't, really want you to tap into what level of truth that you feel that you're at. Now, the first truth, it's very simple, which is we play different games. And within wealth dynamics, there's different games to play. Now, Bill Gates makes his money very different than how Oprah makes her money, very different about Warren Buffett and how he makes his money. There's a season of the value cycle that they're in, how they create presence, and how they have lack of presence, like Warren Buffett. He's a timing guy, right? So the first thing is when it comes to flow and wealth, there's different games to play. And it's when you focus at the right game for long enough, you're actually going to get the results. So some people believe that people who are wealthy are born lucky. People who are wealthy are basically born into money. People who are wealthy, you can never earn your way there, right? And if you believe that, it's not worth taking the test, to be honest with you, if you haven't yet. And if you're ready to read your profile and say, I don't really think that's me. I'm not sure if I'm a creator or a deal maker, or if I'm a supporter, or I'm really a mechanic, maybe I should just go and take this assessment again. So if you're someone not willing to believe then you can't really move to that second level, which is not that we play different games, and there is a personal game which is right for you. So we play games, but now moving into that second, there's a personal game that is right only for you. And this is where you step into, do I want to play my game or do I want to keep playing all the games? Now, as someone that is neurodiverse and someone that is extremely creative mind, that has 16 trains coming in and no one track, this is sometimes where we have to commit to the conduct. And so level 2 is that you have a game that's right for you. And so if you're not ready to start playing that game, then that's okay. You can go back to level 1. So this is where we declare that there is an agreement that if we play one game, you'll end up being more successful than trying to play a bunch of different games. Now, it doesn't mean that we don't play together in the creative economy, the creator economy that is upon us, right? But I'm pretty sure that your answer is going to be yes if you're here listening to me. And we stay on the hamster wheel if we don't choose to go up to that next second level. The hamster wheel, if we go through life running from one game to another, from one course to another, from one modality to another, it dysregulates the nervous system. It continues the cycle of unconscious trauma, and you don't trust yourself and you don't trust the game you're playing. Whereas in this second level, you know the game you play and you commit yourself and the purpose and your purpose and you align with it. And then from that second level, the more you play your game, the more you get into rhythm and flow. And the key here is flow. So moving on then, we're going to flow up to the third level. And this is the payoff. It's the perseverance of playing the game. It's critical to know that this is about learning. It's not about reading more books, but learning comes from taking action and actually playing the game. And within this whole frequency trifecta, I often talk about the 3 different alignment centers, right? And these are that you really truly awaken your supernatural, which is your genius. You then align with your new identity, and then you attract. And the attract actually is the manifestation of calling in, which we're going to get down into these other and/or up into these other levels that you'll understand in full proximity how this happens. But this comes from taking action. At the bottom of that triangle is masculine and feminine. And these are yin and yang. And it is structure and it is really holding that space as you navigate your nervous system, as you add complexity to the game you play. So if you're willing to accept that next level, you get into more and more flow. And the payoff of that is that you'll keep persevering to get into the level that's beyond that, because as you start to master the game and as it becomes second nature to you, you will find that at this level, you now start to actually really love your life, love your business and passion project, relationship that you're seeking. All those things start to actually love you back and you feel nourished. And you start enjoying everything that you're doing. And things don't feel like hard work. You might be applying yourself more, or you might even be working harder, but it doesn't feel that way, that it's really that hustle and grind like it used to, because you're now actually doing the things you're meant to do in your one life. So now that you're here, some people, yes, you high achiever girlfriends, boyfriends, who's ever listened to this, will say, what's next? What's the next level above that, right? You're inclined to up level. And this is where we move to level 4. And this is where you start to now attract all the resources you need. So in just like someone who's in the zone in the game, perhaps the game of, hang in there ladies, game of football, people will start kicking them the ball more, right? And it increases the chances of winning the game. And the working together and working great with others is what builds the success and the rhythm and even more flow. So you start seeing exactly why the universe would help you to make things happen. It doesn't matter what your beliefs are. The fact is that if you believe that at level 4 is when you get in flow and you understand in your mind and your body and your nervous system and you're supported, that you'll start to naturally attract what you need. So going back to step 1, most people might still say, hey, I need money before I can start a business. I need more training. I need more courses. I need a different modality. I need a different structure. I need more, whatever it is, right? It is a lack of belief, the lack of conduct, and the lack of commitment to self and self-leadership, which is, it's all a lie to sell you more mindset and positivity porn, my friends. Magic and wealth creation comes from within, and it's already within you in its fullest measure, linked to your natural zone of genius, your supernatural, your super conscious, and what games you best play that brings all the players together to win the infinite game. Now, there's a finite game and an infinite game. The finite game is the old way of the economy, top down, toxic toxicity up at the top, and leadership, where now we're entering the infinite game. These are where creators step into the creator economy, and everybody plays together and passes the ball, and the ball keeps moving. That's flow. So step 4, we need to really get into flow in our game and start working with others who already have flow as well. And from this, we have that momentum. You know, your star, you are out there, you are creating things, and you make your own flow. And eventually the money just comes your way. In whatever archetype you have, there is an energetic means and the path to wealth for you. And that's exactly how every great entrepreneur and chain maker does it. So net, level 4 is knowing the resources come after flow, not before. Now, the next level up is level 5. This is where we now say, you know, you don't just attract resources. At level 5, you now say you attract your critical, precious moments. This is past the point of origin and the heroine's journey, right? And this is where you're now stepping into your super conscious self, and those critical moments are starting to up-level your game in momentous ways. This means that in a game of, perhaps again, going back to football, it's not the ball which is important when it comes to you. It's the moment at which it comes. Let me repeat that. It's not the ball that's now just coming to you. It's the precious, supernatural moments that it comes. Now you can start to control your own critical moments, and you actually start to say, wow, you know, I can choose my luck. I could actually have a business where I know that by putting the right time and the team that flows together in a purposeful way, you're bound to get results. And this happens in relationships as well. This is conducive in life, relationships, love, business, whatever this is for you, right? Now, you may not be able to imagine what that result is right now. You just know it's going to lead to a ball being kicked to you. And this is where you really start to align and live within your intuition. It's what we call the sixth sense. It's where we start to see that all the best opportunities come by positioning, not by chasing. And for anyone who believes that, you start to focus and see the regenerative payoff and the pleasure that supports you along the way. The analogy, which I love so much, is you can either be the garden that attracts the birds, the bees, and the butterflies, or you can be the butterfly chaser. Imagine yourself at the net and you're holding in all these beautiful butterflies, and your scarcity mindset is so in the way that you're so timid and fearful that you don't want to let them go. There's contraction in the body versus opening up the heart and this in the center of your essence. And this beauty of this efflorescence just blooms from you. And it grows the entire garden around you because you've cross-pollinated and you've created the attraction point. So now, if somebody doesn't believe that and keeps hustling harder, trying to get the resources to show up with that victim mentality, scarcity, not clear on their supernatural, their zone of genius, their archetype, how to get in flow, where they should be spending their energy, the ball just keeps getting kicked around aimlessly. It's full of frustration, and they just work harder with their head down. Now, it's still a state of flow. You can say that. So you're still working hard, which is great, but you certainly won't be operating at the level which allows you to really have your head up, operating from that higher sixth sense, and you start to create your own magic. Okay, so let's move to the next level. And this again, it's where we're actually making magic. This is not just for you to create magic, it's when you let it create itself. And it allows you to be able to create within your life in a far, far bigger sense of who you are and how it's bigger than you. This is legacy, right? Versus thinking and believing that it's just up to you and you're that, yeah, I've been there, my friends, lone wolf on Lone Wolf Island. You will find that anyone who has this high level of focus and frequency within their flow, you start to see that even though hard work may still be there, things are going to happen every day that awaken more of your true essence, how you connect with others flow, how helping them awaken up into their magic, and where time starts to collapse and all are now playing that infinite game. And this is where true legacy starts to lock in. Now, I know there's a whole bunch of you maybe saying, that sounds like flying pigs to me, which is okay. It's cool. This is where you go back to level 1 or go back to level 2, right? And you go with what you're comfortable with and just play that game, because there's still huge amounts of wealth and value within some of those levels. But if you're willing to play that game, moving to the 6th level and beyond, you're willing to accept that that next level is possible and you're committed. So you start looking out for the signs, right? Start to expect them because those signs are actually there. And if you start to see those signs and that becomes your belief, then you're going to start operating and opening yourself up to an entirely different life, my friends. This is where some say, you got to be it to see it. And it's so true. Now, this is a sliding scale up of potential, but it's up to you to decide. The opposite can be true too. If you see it, you don't have to be it. And I talk a lot about this in the Garden of Unlock the Garden of Your Mind. It's a resource and a process that involves hypnotherapy and self-hypnosis and neuroplasticity and energetics that, when you start feeling the nervous system start to move out of safety, this is when you start to collapse and you start to go into that fear pathway versus the care pathway. And we learn as creators and entrepreneurs and supporters and healers to really co-collaborate with each other, to help each other rise into these levels, because you cannot do it by yourself. I tried for many years. It landed me on my deathbed. So, this brings us to that final level, which is the 7th level. And this is where we start experiencing that magic internally, externally. And now you're in that awakened zone of genius. You live there. You're supernatural. You've aligned with your true identity and your values. And by default, you become the presence, the beauty, the radiance, the vibrational coherence, which really is what all of this is about. And you attract naturally because the universe actually is now tuned into you. That's where out pops your fortune. Out pops the purpose of why you're even here on this planet. It is that moment in time where you say, this is why I'm here. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing. No one can stop me. And I know who I am, my values, who I align with, play that bigger game. And We're always going to have different game partners, right? That's the fun of it. That's the fun of playing the game. And we have that internal and external fortune. It lives forever. It's actually pretty infinite. So a fortune is your wealth. Fortune, my friends, is your destiny. Fortune is also your luck. And fortune itself, which comes from the Greek goddess Fortuna, it's all about the goddess of luck. It is when we open ourselves up to something far bigger, which only happens by stepping through these levels, through these 7 conscious levels of truths. We see ourselves here in this fast changing new earth, new economy, and evolutionary entrepreneur and creator 5.0. This is where we now get to start create with a whole new ecosystem around us. Now, this might be a bit hard to digest, my friends. You might say, I'm going to go and figure this out myself. You know, I bought all these courses, so I'm going to go and I'm going to do those first. The bottom line is knowing these 7 conscious levels of truth, making it your truth, and really aligning with your archetype, your energetic archetype. And there are 8 of them, and there's one path in game for you. You can start to navigate yourself through life far easier. It's path of least resistance, the masterpiece that you want to create. And know that every one of these truths is absolutely a reality for those that decide to get in the game and stay in the game. And within ourselves, we have the entire spectrum, right? The entire spectrum is here. And we're going to learn more about that. But there's only one thing I don't want you to miss. While your purpose is important, listen to me, my friend. You are more important. You are the most important asset in your business. And when you try to sell something outside of your superpower or your supernatural, a couple of things happen. And I'll close with this. Your passion, your love, your business, it slows down and you start to actually feel resentful. And this is where the trauma comes in. And we repeat those patterns and the goals seem to be further and further away. Your financial flow slows down and it stops, perhaps, because you can't sell what you don't love to deliver short or long term. That's called burnout. You and your supernatural superpowers should determine your product, offer, or your service. And only then can you find the clients or those that maybe want to buy your NFT or play around in your metaverse to align with exactly who you are and the game that you guys play, because that is how you show up in your best vibrational coherence. And when you take the assessment, you'll immediately receive within Wealth Dynamics your own path to abundance. You actually get a 35+ page of superpower flow playbook and personal operating system. And it's going to cover your superpower. It's going to cover how to use it, what to stop, what to start and continue in your life and business based on your supernatural superpowers, right? Burn the capes, activate your genius, my friends. And you're almost as super secondary power and how to use it and how it actually can also be your kryptonite and take you down, right? And you'll have an overview of all 8 of these superpowers. The cycle and value cycle of business and creation and relationships in life based on Chinese medicine, the ancient I Ching. So you can start to understand what makes you tick and others tick and start to lead or build your team or project based on their values and their superpowers. And when we're in this really incredible place of coherence, our supernatural and our creative glory, it becomes easy to think new thoughts or receive fresh ideas because we're really aligned in the energetic structure and the energetics of the creator's heart and the creator's mind, where we allow that creative glory to really flow as we embrace the realm of our divine expression We will supernaturally from this place grow and flourish when we are aligned with these 7 conscious truths. And you just start playing the game, my friends. So in review, the 7 levels of truth that you get access to, along with your full flight plan to bring you into the path of least resistance with wealth dynamics is number 1, there are different games to play. You'll learn exactly what those games are. Then number 2, you learn how to start creating your own game. The 3rd level of consciousness is, you start to realize that your game needs flow. And the 4th is that flow attracts the resources that you need. The 5th is the flow, it accelerates the critical moments that start to happen with divine timing. That 6th sense then flows into that 6th level, which is creating that synchronicity. And the 7th and final level of conscious truth, aligned with your supernatural, is that flow leads to fortune. And that aligns with wealth equals leverage time value, and wealth is what's left over when all the money is gone. And that's legacy. Everybody has a legacy. My grandmother had a legacy. Yours did too. And some people leave a legacy as a leader, leading nations. Some people lead a community, right? Some people lead people out of slavery thousands of years ago. That's for you to decide. But first, you have to get in the game and follow the 7 levels of conscious truths so that you can get into flow, stay in flow, play the game, stay in the game, and get your fortune. So with that said, all my love, all my light. If you have any questions, please reach out to me on how to access your specific game that you play and your supernatural, which is your zone of genius, so that you can actually start to really get into this synchronous and the synchronicity of really what true wealth creation is by playing the right game and playing with flow with others, no longer on isolation, lone wolf island. So welcome to the new creator economy. And with that said, I hope to see you on the other side. All my love, all my light.